I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Vita and Chip and Culpy.
This is a Blackfire / website pick.
Yeah.
Pick.
Yep.
So there are numerous ways to get your song suggestion suggested to where we can see it.
Yep.
The worst way to do it is to do it in the comment section.
Right.
Because although I jump in the comment section after every video and I respond, as you can see, we do multiple videos a day and there's multiple hundreds of comments on said videos a day. And
right.
So if you multiply that by a week, we're literally looking at thousands of comments a week.
Thousands of requests.
Comments / requests a week. So that is the least.
Yeah.
That is the least efficient way to get your You're almost guaranteeing that you will never get your request looked at. Almost. Because there have been times when people randomly said stuff and I've been like, oh, the most guaranteed way of getting your request reviewed is to jump onto a Patreon alliance. We got Matthew Winter. Eventually, one day, inshallah, we'll be able to show his video.
Yeah,
and
I didn't even know we had one.
It's you jump on for $1 and you join an alliance, and we do 2 alliance picks a week.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we're really working on getting ahead on videos so that we can actually get our Patreon members like a whole bunch of advanced copies than everybody else. But that's in process. Okay, so the worst way of doing it, that virtually guarantees that you'll never get your song reviewed, is to be
comment section.
In the comment section. The best, most efficient, almost guaranteed way of doing it is in Patreon. Especially if you're new. What I notice is that somebody like just jumps onto an alliance and they make a case like, "Hey guys, I would really like for us to push for this one." People usually acquiesce to them. I don't know. Each Patreon alliance leader does theirs differently. But I get invited to some of these conversations and I see how they go, and it's pretty cool. But there's another way that's in between both of those, which is the website. And if you go to vinandsori.com, there is a section for you to vote. And so we just did Passchendaele, I think it was, for Iron Maiden.
Yep.
And then we go, okay, we can do one more tonight. And so Sori jumps on and finds this one, Mahakali, which is probably
by Dissection.
By Dissection. We did one song by Dissection. It was like months ago, Where Dead Angels Lie. And then we never did it again. Although, if you look at now when I'm looking at the comment section of Where Dead Angels Lie, everybody was saying to do this one.
Oh, no.
So we looked on the website, and Mahakali was like, was it 23.5%? Was that the number? So that's another way of doing it. So the website, there you go. If situation's rough for you and you can't do Patreon, cool. Jump on the website, and if enough people want your selection, then go for it. There's hundreds of them on Patreon, isn't there?
It was a lot. I was scrolling through a lot of them. The
more people select a certain entry, the line gets blacker and blacker.
Yeah.
And so it stands out.
Right.
And so that's what we jump on. So there you go. Okay, Mahakali dissection. Let's do it.
And go. Wow. Good for them. I think they communicated what they wanted to communicate. Some worship of this Kali character.
Remember when Aviko Vinadas used to talk about the Kali Yuga? And Kali Yuga was the age that, I'm pretty sure Kali Yuga was the age that we were in. He's a Hindu or a yogi. He was saying it's yogi. It's British people called it Hindu, but whatever. Okay. Yeah. He practices bhakti yoga.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the guy that gave me the
those mushroom things. Not the drug. The one oil to make
chaga. The chaga.
Chaga.
Yeah.
I think about that chaga so much during my pregnancy, but I don't think you can have that when you're pregnant. But I've been wanting it. Whew.
I bet you anything that homegirl is chugging down on the chaga.
You're probably right.
It's pretty good.
I loved it.
Made you feel better, right?
Yep.
Made me feel weird, but
energized a little bit.
I felt healthy. But I was like, man, is this psychosoma?
I couldn't tell either.
Yeah, but that's the dude that gave me the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, but there was physical changes that I noticed in my body. That
good ones?
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be psychosoma.
We gotta. Who knows? Maybe we should have bought a big stash from him before they went to Florida.
I know. Ship it to us. I wonder, maybe he doesn't.
Shout out to all the Bhakti Yoga practitioners. So, I think the thing about Hinduism is that there's all these iterations of, I'm pretty sure it's Krishna is like God in his prime, or its prime, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It was Krishna, and then there was another one. It was basically like a analogy between father and son. But anyway.
I don't remember.
But he had all these incarnations and such that were different, and then people would have devotions to certain incarnations of Krishna.
Right.
So.
Did you see this character that was on the side of the screen?
Which one? Which character?
That one.
Yikes.
Is that it?
That's her, I'm pretty sure.
That's her. Look at her skirt, what it's made of.
What's her skirt made of? It's just a regular skirt.
Nope, it's arms.
Her skirt is made out of arms? Are you sure?
That's the hands. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, her necklace
and
is
her
made out of
is a bunch
skulls.
Of heads.
Avi was telling me about this. Like, that's Shiva.
That's dead, lying on the ground?
Yeah, Avi was telling me. Sorry, Alec. Alec Yo goes, I swear to Shiva.
Yeah.
Well, this girl is such a badass that she killed Shiva. Yeah, so this guy has a devotion, or obviously...
It had a creepy feel to it, I thought. The song.
Well, yeah. Look at what he's saying. Oh, mother, I have no other fond desire in my heart. Fire of a funeral pyre is burning there. I'm pretty sure that's a quote, actually, from one of the...
Without fear I will dance with death and misery.
Well, you don't know this, but this dude killed himself right after this record came out.
Stop it.
Wallahi, this guy. Remember I told you that there's a Satanist dude and he basically said, if you kill yourself because your life is hard, that's not Satanism?
Yeah.
That's this guy. He came out with this record, and I checked. Sure enough, he died 13 August 2006. This record came out 2006. And this is the last song that was on the record. Yeah. He was real about his.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, he was real about it. He killed somebody, went to jail. He got out of jail. He wrote this record, and then that was it. Off he went to his reward.
This part I thought was sad. Maha will set our spirits free.
Pralaya will set our spirits free, yeah.
So there was that desire to be set free, like in your spirit, like
yeah.
You wouldn't ask for you to be spiritually set free unless you felt spiritually bound.
Right.
And the way that he talks, he talks about desire, he talks about dancing, unceasingly, but then at the end of the song, the last thing he's saying is that he's admitting to the fact that he doesn't feel like his spirit's free.
Yeah, and he wants Mahakali to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she probably did.
Yeah, thanks.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to me. This is kind of like a black metal, kind of extreme metal behemoth-ish band. Mm-hmm. Which
Yeah.
Behemoth also, in
Really?
the God Equals Dog video, used some Hindu imagery. Because it's interesting, some of the like Shiva's a goddess of destruction. Like that's one of her iterations. So it's just like there's a lot of stuff in Hinduism where it's like you can go like the full spectrum of what aspect of God you wanna worship and have a devotion to and all that. And there's I think the way Avi explained it to me was like there's all these different do you remember his wife's name that was given to him by their master or whatever? She had a really cool name. I forgot what it meant. It was like servant of the Das means servant. Avi Govinda Das means servant of, and Govinda means the cow. Something servant of the cow. Yeah. Avi Govinda Das was his name.
Yeah.
And then her name was something else, but she had a really beautiful name. I was like, yeah. She cried when her master told her. And all. It was a pretty interesting situation. Yeah. But yeah, we were friends with Hindus for we're bhakti yogis is what he would want to say. And there's a strong tradition of worship there. Remember when he was doing this? Remember he sang that thing and he was doing a little chant thing?
Yep.
And it was really good. You were like, no, woo!
I felt weird,
yeah. Yeah, so there's this lady singing at the...
I'm not going to tell him, but...
Yeah, there was this lady... Yeah. No, we'll probably tell that story at some point in the fireside somewhere, but...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, you know what's interesting is that so you can choose like the form of the god that you want to. I mean, I guess it's still like the same god, but you can choose the form. So if you're the decider and the chooser, then that makes you God in a sense, because you know what I'm saying, like.
Well, I don't know, because I think there's probably a doctrine of like you were called by that specific iteration of the god to worship him.
Okay.
And I think he even says that somewhere.
Because I was just thinking about, like our God chooses us, and then we respond back. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure the way Avi presented it wasn't like you could just. It wasn't like Burger King where you could just go, "Ooh, I like this one." Like you have a certain kind of bent to your personality that attracts you to a certain devotion to a certain iteration of God. But that's not because of you. You didn't create that. You see what I'm saying? Like you didn't create that inclination. So there was priest classes where it was very, very. Hinduism is extremely like complex because it's been around for so long. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of. It's been around before, historically speaking. I'm not speaking theologically, but historically speaking, it's been around before Christianity. Mm-hmm. And so for thousands of years. So it's a very like in-depth, very intricate system. So like. He would tell me these histories of, I forgot what he called Krishna's histories. It wasn't like the Gospels according to Krishna, but he called them the exploits or something like that. And like they were very detailed and like there are stories for days because it's been around for a really long time. So,
yep.
So yeah, I was talking to this girl at work one time. She was Indian. She was from India, and so she was explaining to me like whatever. And I said, well, who are you devoted to? Like, what She said, Shiva. And I said, well, who's Shiva? Like, what does she do? I didn't know anything. I still don't know anything about Hinduism.
Yeah.
And she goes,
she's the goddess of destruction.
Destruction. Yeah. And I said, okay.
Why?
Thank you very much. You're devoted to destruction. Of course, in the Bible. When someone or something is devoted to destruction, it's a Hebrew charem, I think, and it means
I mean it's meant to be a sacrifice to God.
You're completely wiped out.
Yeah.
Don't even take the war booty. Like done. Don't touch any of it. The whole thing goes up in smoke. So anyway, Mahakali, Dark Mother, dance for me. Let the purity of your nakedness awaken me. Yours are the fires of deliverance, which shall bring me bliss. Yours is a cruel sword, which shall set my spirit free.
He starts out with deliverance. They're spirit free again. So he starts and ends with that same thing about freedom.
It's very strange, though, because, so he's saying her fires are going to bring him bliss, but then he says, right there. O Kali, thou art fond of cremation grounds. So this is a goddess of death at some level, I'm supposing. So I have turned my heart into one, that thou may dance there unceasingly. O mother, I have no other fond desire in my heart. He just wants the spirit of this.
Yeah.
The fire of a funeral pyre is burning there. So his heart
Yeah.
is burning with a funeral pyre of death.
Yep.
But he meant
To
it.
attract her.
He meant it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Gosh.
It's weird because we just did the Chester thing,
Yeah.
and the Chester thing is extremely sad. This guy, it's a different feeling. I think
It really is.
It's not that like it's not that depressing feeling, but it's not a good feeling either because he killed himself. He's in the spirit of God. But oh, dark mother, hear me calling thee. Maha Pralaya, bring to me, through all illusions I shall see. I shall cremate this world and set my essence free.
See?
But in killing himself, he's essentially cremating the world. Basically, is the idea, I think.
How?
Because you're in a sense destroying the world. If you take yourself out of it, you've essentially destroyed the world. Basically, in a poetic sense. It's a crazy,
I don't know what makes me sad.
I cut my own throat. I burned myself for thee. I cut my own throat in obscene ecstasy.
Yeah.
I make love to abominations and embrace pain and misery. Until my heart becomes the burning ground and Kali comes to me. So like you've got to, I guess devotion to her equals. There are some sort of, like there's like a Shia tradition where I've showed you that where they beat themselves and then they cut themselves.
They cut themselves. They were cutting the top of the kids' heads and everything.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty sure that's about grieving for Ali, because Ali was killed and they weren't there to protect him basically.
My gosh.
So that's nothing Muhammad never prescribed that. I just want to make that clear. I'm not, I'm not taking a side in the Sunni Shia, debate. All I'm saying is there's nowhere that I know of in any hadith, Sirah, Quran, where Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded that. That is something that evolved among the Shia people as a way to express grief for not being able to defend Ali, because they hold Ali almost equivalent to Muhammad in some sense. But my point is, like, it's a lot of cutting. They whip themselves. They take their kids and take a sword. And of course, head wounds are very dramatic, and so the kids are bleeding, and everybody's bleeding and crying, and all. It's just very bloody.
Oh, gosh.
It's a pretty bloody affair for sure. Kiss me with your bloody lips and drive me insane. So this is, it's a weird, because in Christianity we're like, if there's a spirit who is telling you to cut yourself and burn yourself, and I don't know, commit all sorts of weird sexual deviant, and if he's saying something is sexually deviant, then good Lord, I mean, one can only imagine. We would say, yeah, that's a bad spirit, man. That's like a demon.
Yeah.
That's like no bueno. But he's looking.
Oh, that's exactly what I kept thinking. The whole thing, I'm like, this is.
Well, you got the demoniac in the Gadarenes over there in Mark, and the guy is, he would go out among the tombstones. He had an obsession with death, and he would cut himself.
And he was naked.
And
this demon is as well.
And yeah, she's. So it's a really strange, like, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, this is a demon.
Yeah.
But he calls her Dark Mother. That's the other thing. Like this guy, I think part of the reasons I do feel sorry for him, and I don't believe that he's with the Ein Sof. I don't believe he's with God, because he made it clear he didn't want to be with God. So in that sense, I feel bad, but at the same time, it's like this dude went in with open eyes. Dark Mother. I mean, that's how the thing starts off. It's like, Dark Mother, okay, like you like I haven't seen, and I read like a snapshot of the letter, And he basically said, like, look, you know, the whole thing was a ritual. He set himself up and put himself in a circle, and then bang, you know.
No.
Yeah, man.
Well, this one, do you see this? It says, Devourer of life and death, who rule beyond time. In thy name I shall fulfill my destiny divine.
Mahakali, yeah.
Formless one, destroyer of illusion. Your song forever sung the tunes of disillusion.
Right.
So he's saying, isn't that the opposite?
What do you
Isn't
mean?
that opposites? Destroyer of illusion, tunes
Yeah.
of disillusion.
What about it?
What's disillusion? Isn't that like not you're
be
disillusioned? You don't have a clear eye.
No. To be disillusioned means that you thought something was good or whatever, and then you see the reality. You know that moment when you go, oh, that's how you are. That's being disillusioned. That means the illusion has been removed from you. And now you see what the person really was. So she is the destroyer of illusion. So her songs are the tunes of dissolution.
Okay.
You know. So, yeah, so he basically said, look, I'm not doing it. He basically said in his letter, like, I'm not doing this because I'm having a hard time, you know. I'm doing this because, like, I've hit the pinnacle of what I can do here, so I'm out. But I'm not doing this because I'm some weak, depressed person.
How old is he? Do you know? Did he have a family?
He had a girlfriend. It was his last thing. He was born in 75 and he died in 2006. So what's that, like 31? Is that 31? 75 to 2006?
25, 31. Yeah.
So, young guy.
Yeah.
Probably had a lot more to contribute to the world, but
Yikes.
you know, it's a crazy thing. You know, that's where it's like you know, people, there's a line, you know, like we're postmodern now, so everything is like, oh, you know, everybody can kind of believe what they want. Of course, everybody can,
Yeah.
but not everybody should.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to go and say, yeah, he should have done this. No, he shouldn't have.
Right.
He should be with us. He should be
Right.
making music. He should,
Right.
you know.
No, I agree with you.
You know,
Yeah.
he you know. I'm sure he had people that loved him and you know. And I just think it's a crazy message to send. Like, you know that you're this big, famous rock star with a cult following and you're going to do this? Like, you know, how many people followed that?
Oh,
You know.
gosh.
But at the same time, it's like, to your point, where you're pointing out is he's constantly talking about being set free,
That's what bothers me.
you know, and he wants some sort of spirit. He needs something from outside of the natural world to come to him. Set my spirit free. It's almost, you know, almost in every stanza where he, even though he poses, he says, and he said in the letter basically that this is not because I'm, you know, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well,
And all the stuff he keeps asking for. So look, we'll scroll up. Here he's saying, at your left hand for endless victory. So he wants her to come to give him endless victory. Keep scrolling.
set our spirits free.
Yeah, freeing the spirit. There was another one. Keep going. Make me one with your power for all eternity. So he
Yeah.
wants power. He wants freedom. He wants,
Right.
you know. There was asking for freedom again.
But it
Let the
seems
purity of your nakedness awaken me. Like, I understand what he's talking about, the purity of your nakedness, but he's asking to be awakened.
right.
So it sounds to me like he had some real dark spiritual death going on in his spirit, in the core of his spirit. And so he was seeking this thing out to help him get what he needed to get that freedom from it. And he believed that she was going to be able to do that.
Right.
That's sad.
It's a pretty crazy thing. This is the last song on the last record he did.
You know what's crazy too? Look, he says, Mahakali, come to me. That's the very last thing that he says. Come to me in this. And then there's that verse that talks about the end, the spirit and the bride will say, come.
Right. It's like the last stanza of the New Testament is the Spirit and bride say come, and then John says, even so come Lord Jesus, and then it says the grace of Christ be with your hearts or something like that. And that's the end of the Bible. That's it. I think that there's a cry in the human soul for something outside of this natural realm to come to you. Because I listen to this though. This is what they wrote. His band wrote. John, I don't know how to pronounce that. Nodvite was a man who lived his life according to his convictions and true will. A couple of days ago, he chose to end his life by his own hands. As a true Satanist, he led his life in the way he wanted it and ended it when he felt that he had fulfilled his self-created destiny. Not everyone will have understanding or acceptance for his personal path in this life and beyond, but all must respect his choice. Those of us who have met him in his last days can assure that he was more focused, happier, and stronger than ever. It is our full conviction that he left this world of lies with a scornful laughter. Knowing that he had fulfilled everything that he had set up for himself to accomplish, the empty space that he leaves behind will be filled with the dark essence that he manifested through his life and black magical work. His legacy in Luciferian fire will live on through those few who truly knew him and appreciated his work for what it really was and still is. As our brother's goal in life and death never was to rest in peace, we will instead wish him victories in all battles to come until the acosmic destiny has been fulfilled. For the glory of the dark gods and the wrathful chaos. 218. I don't know what 218 means, but I don't respect that. I don't. It's like, oh, you have to respect his choice. I don't respect that. I don't, like blowing yourself away and it's not going to be popular, but we're not doing this to be popular.
Right.
I think that this is an extremely dangerous idea, and to romanticize that is extremely dangerous.
I agree.
And to say that shit when you know there's 15, 16-year-old kids that don't know shit about life and don't understand that the present traumas that they're in are going to pass because they haven't had that experience. To combine his horrible example with that type of send-off is insane to me. Without even warning kids like, yo.
Yeah, and he said it himself, that it was a self-created destiny. So.
That's not cool. That's not cool at all. At some point, you have to draw a line and say, no.
No, I totally agree.
There's some ideas that are constructive and some ideas that are destructive. That's a self-attested destructive idea. He destroyed himself.
Yep.
And no, I don't think he's off in the netherworld ruling winning battles. I think that he realizes now he made a terrible mistake. So it's terrible because if you look at this, he also wrote the guitar parts as well. And look, this is not the same thing as judging him. I'm not judging him. That's between him and Allah. I am judging the actions and the possible effects of, I had a conversation with somebody, that I used to promote on this channel. We don't promote anymore because he said some racist, homophobic, misogynistic things, and we didn't cut him off immediately, but we told him to stop, and he wouldn't. And I said, look, bro, you got, I don't know, 100,000 people looking at your, he had 100,000 views or something at the time. I'm like, at the time we had like 14 million. I'm like, 14 million. I'm like, there's a weight of responsibility on us.
Absolutely.
And we're just YouTubers.
Yep. Yeah.
But I feel that responsibility. And we have a pretty wide berth as far as like what we will, I don't even want to say tolerate, but listen to. I mean, we just had a Satanist on the thing a couple days ago, and we didn't try to convert her, and we just genuinely listened to her. That's not the same thing as promoting something that could end up in the death of lots of people.
We were at a Behemoth concert.
Look, but see, that's the thing though. With Behemoth, you heard the people. That's the thing that got me about Behemoth, was that Nergal was so inspiring to these people, and it made them want to push through.
Right.
And it gave the 16-year-old kid a shot. I don't know what would have happened to me as a teenager listening to Korn if Jonathan Davis would have killed himself, and then everybody would have said he was right to do that, and he's getting victories in the afterlife and all this shit. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, but you know, at the same time, it's like I don't know. People process grief in so many different ways. So
maybe it was their way of processing.
Well, because part of it is that, like they said, like that he gave no indication that he was going to be in that situation, that he was going to do that to himself, and so they called him our brother. I mean, I'm sure they loved him, and then here's this guy. Now he's gone.
Yeah.
You just created this great album. Now he's gone. You're thinking about touring with him and all this, and sharing a bunk with him, and now he's gone. He left without any warning whatsoever. And so you put something out like that in the moment of your grief to say it's all right. He's, you know, it's like, you know, when these guys, you know, soldiers die and they say, you know, what did they say about Adam? His eternal spirit is off in Valhalla or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, so like in that moment, you're trying to tell yourself all this empowering stuff to handle your grief. Yeah. So I can see it from that perspective, but man, you're a public figure. You got to think about these people who are watching you and people that you're influencing. Mm-hmm. You know, like there is a difference between blaming Fade to Black for a kid killing themselves, because the song doesn't say go kill yourself. Right. And Metallica was out touring and making new music and living. Mm-hmm. And so there's a sense in which, by their example, they're saying, even though I'm depressed or even though I'm having a hard time, we can get past it. Mm-hmm. But this shit, I don't know. Maybe they publish something else later on, but that's extremely. It's sad all around to me. I'm projecting anger, but it's sad all around to me that here we lost this guy. Brilliant guy, I think. Beautiful, brilliant person. Yeah. And you know, it's something about his dad. His dad said something. He was him in a leather jacket or something like that. He's like, "This is a picture I want you to remember my son by." I didn't even click on it, but because it was so sad, his dad had lost his kid. And I'm thinking, as a father, and losing my kid like that. No, I can't imagine. You know, like, these are real people. He's a real person. Mm. You know, like, I get it. He made his decision. But that's tough, man. That's really, really, really tough. Yeah. You know, and then he's got a dad, and having to bury your own kid. You know, the minute you have a kid, like, that immediately you become strapped with that fear, you know? Oh yeah. And it never leaves you as a parent. Mm-hmm. And then that's tough, man. Poor his dad, you know? Yeah. But at the same time, you know, he was a obviously gifted dude. Obviously. Mm-hmm. Obviously gifted guy, but I just think we got to be careful about how we use our influence, I guess, is the point.
Yeah. And not even just like if you're, you know, if your life is on a public forum like ours is on YouTube or something like that. Like, a lot of us have public lives. You know, we've got Facebook, you know, you're out in the public, you know, everything that we do affects the world around us. Right. So no matter how small and insignificant you feel like your life is, it is affecting people for the good or for the bad. So I think that everybody has to take that message to heart, because all of us are people of influence. Mm-hmm. You know, whether you have a YouTube channel or whether you're successful at what you're doing, you know.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean, you know, if you're having a problem, or if you're, you know, I'm thinking about a guy who when he's in trouble emotionally, he'll post it. Mm-hmm. And when he's thinking about killing himself, he'll post it. Mm-hmm. That's good. Mm-hmm. He's asking for help. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's setting an example, right?
You know, yeah. So I don't want people to misinterpret that you should never talk about suicide. You know, if you're a public figure, I'm like, yes, you should. But this shit right here, I think it's a glorification of that act, and that, you know, like I said, it's not going to be popular saying, you know, unsub if you want, but, you know, and you know, a lot of it's, I'm going to control my own destiny. You know, ideas have consequences.
Yeah.
You know? Ideas are crazy things because they don't have extension in the physical world, but they have ramifications in the physical world. So it's like, you know, you can say I only believe in things that I can see. What a stupid thing to say. You can't see an idea. You can only see its effects.
Right.
So anyway, so there's a distinction. I'm sad for the brother. I'm sad for his dad. You know, that kind of got me with his dad. You know, his dad was talking about this photo he's got of his kid that he wants people to remember him by.
Oh my word.
That's like that's brutal, man. It's brutal. So I'm sad for him and his dad, and I'm also concerned about the many nameless people that were influenced maybe to. That's the thing about being suicidal is you don't need a lot to push you over, and it's never only one thing, but it's never less than one thing either.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, that's all I got to say. Everybody take care of each other, even if you're mad at me. Take care of each other. Take care of your neighbors. Listen to your friends. Ask tough questions of your friends every once in a while. And if they ask you tough questions, answer honestly, huh? We gotta take care of each other. That's the lesson out of all this stuff right here. Is we gotta take care of each other as best we can. All right, I'm out of here.
Vin out.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.